with the help of body-worn video cameras.
Police officers!
Get off me! Stay down! Huh?
The new eyes of the law.
Crashed. Go after runner!
Out the car! Now!
Cops on the front line in Nottinghamshire tackle all types of emergencies.
To me, hands up.
What have I done?
And crack down on all kinds of crime.
More and more plants, every room we go to.
They are the Bodycam Squad. Coming up, a succession of stabbings leaves the cops facing a potential double murder investigation.
Seen a group of 7 males having some confrontation.
So bad. Oh, it's covered in blood.
Officers raid the house of a notorious drug dealer in St Anne's.
Police officers! Police officers to the station!
And a suspected shoplifter.
There. Whoa. Let's be running there towards that park.
Gives the cops the runaround.
Up there. Yeah, go.
Last year, knife crime surged by 25% across the country. But in Nottinghamshire, knife crime increased by a staggering 31%. And most incidents involved young males. It's 11 p.m. in Broxtowe, and PC Paul Creswell is coming to the end of his shift when he's flagged down by a member of the public in a residential area.
There was a middle-aged black guy who waved us down, and he said, I wonder if you could help me, this lad here has been stabbed.
Paul's in for a shock and switches on his body cam to capture everything. A 16-year-old boy collapsed on the pavement with blood pouring from his mouth.
Was it hit anywhere else?
Just look up for me. The blood was kind of like bubbling and oozing out of his mouth. It was very strange. All down the front of his jacket was slick with blood, which was quite shocking, really. So he was really in a bad way. Normally, when you see that much blood, there's a good chance the person's going to go down. And he was going down. He was struggling to speak. He was white as a sheet, and he couldn't move his hands very well.
Paul is first on the scene and only has basic first aid training. Until an ambulance arrives, the boy's life is in his hands.
Have you got any other wounds? He's got one on the side there.
From the inside of his mouth come out.
The only thing that was going to help him, really, was the arrival of a fast response ambulance, because what was happening to him was too serious for us to deal with.
Paul can see the stab wound to the boy's mouth, but needs to check if he's been injured anywhere else.
Do you hurt in your groin or anything
Not
like
in
that?
any organs.
Just lean
I know
forward
you've
so I
got
can
a
look
lot
in
of
your
blood.
back.
It's not in anywhere that should cause any further implications being here, okay? You just need to check the rest of you to make sure he's not been punched or stabbed or hurt anywhere else. Okay, put something on your back.
Nothing. Is there nothing else there?
No more wounds.
I couldn't understand where the blood was coming from, but there was catastrophic bleeding coming from somewhere on his body. You could see a small nick in this part of his face and then tons of blood coming out. I've never seen that before.
It's becoming clear to Paul the stab wound the boy suffered to his mouth could be life-threatening.
He'd been stabbed in the mouth and it had cut the artery that feeds the tongue. That's where the blood was coming from, which is why he had this big triangular, like, waterfall of blood coming out of his face, down his chin and neck and onto his jacket. So someone had obviously gone like this towards him and it had gone through this part of his face, which is most unusual.
If the artery in his mouth is completely severed, Paul knows the boy could only have minutes left to live.
Stay awake, mate.
Okay, who done this?
I don't know.
What happened?
I don't know.
There was a chance I thought that he was going to die, because we were desperately trying to keep him talking. He was disoriented and he was going into shock. I mean, we had to really struggle to keep him going. I've got to try and stop them dying as best I can.
You don't know? Someone just walked up to you and stabbed you in the face? Are you sure?
Tell you what, just put your foot out. Just put your foot out, mate, so you don't cut your circulation off.
The paramedics arrive and alert the trauma team at the hospital to stand by for emergency surgery.
We need someone to go with this lad to hospital. Yeah, received that. 3442 is going to go in the ambulance.
With the paramedics now responsible for keeping the boy alive, Paul needs to try and work out what happened.
We didn't know if anybody else was injured or dead. You don't know if there's any other people out there with knives. Could be someone else dead in someone's front garden because it's a residential road.
Paul's cordoning off what could turn into a murder scene. Suddenly, another emergency comes through. PC's Ian Blackstock and Matt Daly are blue lighting to reports of another stabbing, only a few streets away from the first incident. Paramedics have already arrived and are attending to a 17-year-old lad with stab wounds inside a house.
We just arrived. It's the second stabbing in the space of 30 minutes. Just getting initial details.
It's not clear if the two stabbings are connected.
Do you mind giving us a bit of space? What's it been done with, do we know? No, we don't know yet. We've literally got here.
Paramedics are trying to help the wounded lad onto his feet, and the cops want to know who stabbed him while he's still conscious.
Do you know who's done it?
Do you know who's done it?
Not even.
Where did it happen?
It's up the road.
Just up the road? Ambulance is state safety here. This male is conscious. He's got a stab wound. He's just walking to the ambulance now. He's saying he doesn't know who's done it.
The lad's been stabbed in the side and lost a lot of blood, but it's not known if any of his major organs have been damaged. He's still managing to walk, but Matt knows his injuries could still be life-threatening.
We've had them before where they walk onto the ambulance to get to QMC and then the update is that they've gone one oblique one, they've passed away. So everyone's cautious, really, because you don't know how deep it's gone, you don't know what injury or trauma it's caused that you can't see. Shall we see if we can find a knife?
Yeah. Do we know what he looks like?
No.
There's no sign of any weapons and no evidence to prove the two stabbings are linked.
Have we got any more confirmation of where it's happened? Who's been able to tell you that?
At the minute, NH is only saying up the road, not forthcoming at all with details at the minute.
It could be linked. He's saying he was stabbed. He doesn't know what for, why or whatever, but he's managed to stumble home. And he's currently being assessed by ambulance.
A few streets away, where the 16-year-old boy was stabbed in the mouth, Paul's found out there was a gang of youths at the incident, and he may have a lead on a suspect.
That's the offender's bike.
That's the offender's bike, is it?
Yes, but from these two lads here, they said that's the offender's bike.
Right.
So we've cordoned it there, and there's blood splatter all the way up where we've got the tape.
The cops think that the suspect who stabbed the boy in the mouth may have left behind a black mountain bike.
The offender's come down the road after it's happened on a mountain bike.
Back at the house of the 17-year-old lad, the cops are still investigating.
Who has he been out with?
I've seen him on that he was riding on his bike, that's it.
Come back on his bike.
Do you know?
And listen, I don't know where his bike is. He just walked in.
What was his bike? What's his bike?
Carrera, black Carrera, I think it's black Carrera. Black Carrera.
Black Carrera then.
Yes.
The 17-year-old returned home without his black bike, and the cops think it could be the same one that's been abandoned at the scene, where the boy was stabbed in the mouth, suggesting the stabbings could be linked.
He's been out on a black Carrera Vengeance tonight, and now he's come back without his bike, and would you believe the bike that's left in the scene that stabbed the last victim is a black Carrera Vengeance?
And Matt has his own theory about what could have happened.
He's stabbed the other lad, they've stabbed each other.
The victim with stab wounds to his side is now a suspect.
Mum's reported the bike missing, so it may be that we've got a suspect for the early stabbing. You can see the police officers are going down to make sure this lad doesn't go anywhere.
An update's coming through from the hospital about the boy who was stabbed in the mouth.
The male was stabbed earlier on, is currently in our resource department in Queen's Medical Centre. He's going for a blood transfusion, a couple of bits, so it is deemed as life-threatening and life-critical at the moment.
Coming up, The cops step up their investigation.
He's been stabbed up there?
Yeah.
Okay. By who?
A random guy.
As a 16-year-old stab victim fights for his life. In the Broxtowe area of Nottinghamshire, 2 reports of stabbings have come through within 30 minutes of each other. A 16-year-old boy was stabbed in the mouth and is now in a critical condition, fighting for his life in hospital. A few streets away from where he was found, a 17-year-old lad was also found with stab wounds to his side and is being assessed by paramedics. Now, the lad who initially walked into the ambulance is deteriorating rapidly. His condition's critical, and an air ambulance doctor's been drafted in.
You'll have a trained doctor in the air ambulance in the day. During their night shift, the crew a fast response car and just come to incidents such as this to give like critical care. This chap in the back of the ambulance, so it is going to be treated quite severe if they turn up.
They suspect the lad needs emergency surgery.
To be honest, you can see are quite concerned they are going to leave now to shoot off and get to QMC. The senior paramedics reported that this lad's sats are very low and they can't get him up at the moment. That's why he's been rushed off in the back of the ambulance. The golden hour for this lad has kicked in.
Known as the golden hour, the first 60 minutes of medical treatment after a serious injury is critical and determines a person's chance of survival. But Ian and the team are well aware that both youngsters could now die.
This could turn one of 2 ways. Obviously, the lads could make a full recovery, or unfortunately, it could go the other way and they could both pass away during the night. So the surgeons and the hospital staff are doing their best at the moment to keep these boys alive. If both lads pass away, then it's going to be a double murder.
The cops need to gather evidence for what could turn into a double murder investigation. On the street where the boy was stabbed in the mouth, Paul finds witnesses.
Do we know exactly where it happened?
Yeah, the top of the road.
He's been stabbed up there?
Yeah.
Okay. By who?
A random guy.
Just random?
Yeah.
What's this person look like?
Black.
So this person was black? How old?
We don't know because of the face.
So what did he got on his face?
He had like a full-on belly.
A full-on balaclava. Okay. What clothing? What?
Yeah.
What clothing?
Black.
All in black clothing,
Yeah,
black
black
male.
clothing.
You don't know how old. How do you know he was black?
Because his belly was like...
So you could just see the skin?
Yeah, like his eyes.
Inside the house of the 17-year-old who may have left his bike at the scene, the team are seizing his clothing for forensic testing.
Did he come back in this?
I take it off. Yeah.
This is soaked that is. Oh, it's covered in blood.
At the place where the cops suspect both stabbings happened, Paul's filming the trail of blood on his bodycam that could be used as evidence.
What I don't understand is how these situations can get to the stage where they have knife fights in the street. I don't personally know why their disagreement got to that stage where they felt it necessary to stab each other. Incidents involving knives are on the rise. It's awful, really, because you think to yourself, you know, I don't want this to happen to my children as they get older.
The council have CCTV cameras throughout the estate, and the operators are trying to help Ian build up a picture of what happened.
We're right bang in the middle of the 2 scenes at the moment. You can see the earlier scene we came to earlier on, which is just down there. Just in front of this telegraph pole is where the incident's taken place, where you can see the red and white cone. That's where the CCTV camera is looking down the road, seeing a group of 7 males having some confrontation. CCTV is then caught the people running down, cycling down, just down here. It's then caught the offenders and the suspects just going down the bottom to the road where the other officers are, just down the bottom.
It's not apparent if any of the gang of youths caught on CCTV can be identified from the footage.
We can see the bike that was made reference to. The bike's just behind the car, which we think is linked to the suspect or the victim, or possibly both at the moment.
The whole street's cordoned off until crime scene investigators arrive in daylight.
We're walking up to our cordon, which is just up here, which is as far as what we're going to be able to go to without contaminating anything. This scene will now be in place till daylight, so there's going to be officers here all night.
There's nothing for Ian and the team left to do until the forensic investigators take over in the morning. After undergoing emergency surgery, both of the lads survived, and the boy Paul found who was stabbed in the mouth was especially lucky.
The surgeon told my colleagues if it wasn't for the fact that we had been flagged down then, there's a good chance he would have died due to blood loss.
The 17-year-old, whose bike was thought to be left at the scene, was tried in Crown Court. He was found not guilty of wounding with intent and having a knife in a public place. 3 other youths were also arrested in connection with the stabbings. They were released, and no further action was taken due to a lack of evidence. It's still not known if the stabbings were related. Neighbourhood officer PC Carl Brown's heading to his inner city patch of St Anne's, where he's worked for the past 4 years.
Everybody in the area knows me, and I love working St Anne's. St Anne's is a fantastic place to work. There's so much going on. There's so many good people in St Anne's. It's a real close-knit place, and it's a really enjoyable place to work.
St Anne's is a multicultural area, and Carl makes it his business to know everyone.
There are people out there who want to see more black officers on the street within the black community, so the fact I'm out there on the street, I'm sure that there are some people who are really pleased with that and think that the police force is taking big steps forward. There are others who see me as a bit of a sellout, as I've been called on occasions. I'm very thick-skinned, so it takes a lot to offend me on these streets.
Like every good cop, Carl works relentlessly with the community to try and keep the area crime-free.
When I'm out there on the streets, I've built good relationships. There are people that will come and talk to me, confide in me, pass me information about if someone's up to no good in the community. So yeah, it's important to be integrated and be part of this community.
After receiving vital intel from the locals, Carl's leading an operation to raid the home of a suspected drug dealer.
We've received information from several different sources regarding drug dealing taking place at the address and in the surrounding streets of the address. So I collated the information, which I've taken to court, and the court have given me a warrant. So this morning we'll brief and we'll head to the address, we'll execute the warrant and detain and see what we've got. Morning all, thank you all for coming in. Information has been received that there's drug dealing from his home address and in the surrounding streets close to his home address.
The suspect is a hardened drug dealer who's recently been released from prison.
He's not long been out, he's only been out a few months, but I suspected he'd go back to drug dealing because he got caught with decent amounts on him both times, so he's probably going to be in a debt, and he's really active again, and there's absolutely loads of intelligence. It's absolutely ridiculous amount of intelligence I'm getting about him dealing.
Carl's been keeping an eye on the suspect since his release.
He was caught a couple of years before in possession of a large quantity of drugs, and what we find is that once drugs are lost, that person then is in a debt, so quite often people will go back to drug dealing because they've got a massive debt to clear from the drugs that they lost last time.
Carl needs to make sure the entry into the house is foolproof, so no detail is left to chance.
Some steps leading up and the front door's here. Front door is UPVC, so we'll need somebody to cover the alleyway here. So if I ask Bry, Rexy, possibly Charlie to cover the rear of the address.
Carl will stop at nothing to get drugs off the streets of St Anne's and make it a safe place for the people who live there.
The people in the local community deserve to live in peace, and they don't need to be seeing people drug dealing on the street and certainly bringing drug addicts and other people to the area.
A team of cops are on the operation, including officers armed with tasers. Carl's not certain the suspected drug dealer is at home or whether he's armed, but it's 9:30 in the morning, so he's hoping he's still in bed.
I'm enforcing the door.
PC Jane Gibson will be breaking the door down. The team are parking around the corner from the target address.
Come on.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head constantly, thoughts jumbled round, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative, I don't wanna get lost in the sedative. Gotta show them what I got, I'm competitive. You know I'm about to go off, I won't let them win, I'll take a stab. I wanna chase a bag, I wanna weigh, I can change all the...
Jane's using the enforcer, known as the Big Red Key. The door won't give, so she smashes the bottom panel.
Police officers! Police officers to the station! Show yourself! Stay where you are! Give me a hand! Give me a hand!
Coming up, will the target suspect be at home? And will they find illegal drugs inside? Neighbourhood Officer Carl is acting on intel he received from members of the local community about a suspected drug dealer on his patch in St Anne's.
Loads of intelligence, it's absolutely ridiculous the amount of intelligence I'm getting.
He's heading up a drug raid and busting the house of a known drug dealer who's recently been released from prison. But he's not certain if the suspect is at home or whether he's armed.
Police officers! Police officers to the station! Show yourself! Give me a hand!
Now, the cops gain entry and find 3 people at the top of the stairs.
How you doing?
They find the alleged drug dealer they're looking for, his mum and a relative who's visiting.
All right.
All need to be handcuffed until a search of the house is complete.
We've got a warrant under the Misuse of Drugs Act, okay? I'm just going to get the paperwork and I will get you a copy, I'll get you the paperwork, okay?
The main suspect is taken downstairs as the search begins in the bedrooms. While another officer helps the suspect's relative get his shoes on. Downstairs, Jane's guarding the alleged drug dealer and his mum, who seem to be relieved that it was only the police who were breaking down their door.
I thought it was good at home. Oh, I was thinking, who's trying to get into my house mad like that?
Yeah, I was running the back half naked.
I thought someone come to kill us.
I was half naked, I was.
See, like, making me concerned now that you even, like, thought that. Why would you think that?
I don't know, do you hear how loud the door went? Boom! I thought it was a shotgun or something.
Carl's pleased with the cops' swift entry.
That went pretty smoothly. We had everything contained nicely. And we were in pretty quick, and we've managed to detain people pretty quickly. So that really helps, because if given too much time, people can discard evidence or get rid of evidence if they've got anything on them they shouldn't have. We'll slow things down now, and it'll be a thorough search.
As officers continue looking for illegal drugs upstairs, Carl wants to give his target suspect a chance to come clean.
Is there anything here?
No, I don't know.
It shouldn't be here, because there's a smell of cannabis when I've come upstairs. Is there any cannabis?
No, I don't know.
Right. No, is there any drugs in the house? Right.
He's denying having any drugs. Upstairs, the main suspect's relative's getting stroppy with a plainclothes cop.
Brethren just stepped on my shoes. I paid for my shoes, yeah?
I didn't step on your shoes. I put my foot
I
against
seen
your
you
shoes.
step. No, I seen you step on the front of my shoes. My shoes are new, you know. These shoes just come in the shop.
Come on, walk downstairs with me.
Right. Cool. That's what I'm saying. I'm stepping on my shit. Disrespect. Oh, smoke these shots. I'm smoking on the road, you know.
Listen.
I'll smoke them on the road still.
Chill. Come on.
The man's threatening to smoke the cops, meaning to shoot them. Carl needs to take his details and suspects the man is trying to disrupt the search.
What have I done to you to disrespect you?
Your people are disrespectful. I mean, like, if I see them on the road, smoke.
If you what, sorry?
See them on the road, smoke.
Mate, if you see you on the road, you're gonna do nothing, mate.
What? I'm not going to do nothing.
You're not going to do nothing, mate. Well, don't start making threats, mate. Listen, mate, listen, mate. Shut up.
Shut what?
Shut up, else you'll be taken out and taken down Bridewell for obstructing the search. Mate, carry on disrespecting me, mate. You could be out the address because you're doing my head in now, yeah? It's not your house. Why are you peacocking like it's your house, okay? You've got no association to this property, okay? So you carry on. That's your last opportunity, mate, where you're cocking us and your bad attitude. You'll be out, yeah? You'll be out and down Bridewell, yeah? We'll sort it down Bridewell.
But he's more worried about his trainers than potentially getting arrested.
Is that how pathetic you are? We stepped on your trainers. No, mate, I don't listen to you. You listen to me. Stepped on your trainers, who cares?
Carl's had enough of the mouthy man.
Come on, then. You're under arrest for obstructing a search. Just grow up, mate. Yeah, just grow up. Stop being silly. Just got yourself arrested unnecessarily, haven't you? Just being obstructive. Right.
You must have come from defense or something. It's not no defense still. And you get my phone as well, please, yeah?
I will get your phone, buddy, yeah. It's just time to calm down now. Just calm down, just chill out. Are you calm down now, yeah?
You people, step on my foot.
Yeah, well, but mate, really, at the end of the day, your shoes are absolutely fine. Is that the biggest thing here, really?
No, you step on my foot.
You just got yourself you've got yourself arrested unnecessarily. Oh, buddy, yeah, they're not damaged, are they? Are they damaged?
It's still a violation. Would you like if I stepped on
but it's not your house, so why are you carrying on like that? There's no need.
He stepped on my foot. My foot has nothing to do with anybody's house, yeah?
Been verbally abusive, so he's been arrested for obstructing police, so he'll be out the way now while we conduct the search.
With the angry man out of the way, it's not long before the cops find knives, and they weren't in the kitchen.
That was in the bedroom drawer. Knife was in top of the wardrobe, mum's room. Kosh, extendable.
Commonly used by police, the extendable baton is also known as a kosh.
That was on the landing, that was, just as we were coming up.
On the landing.
In the alleged drug dealer's bedroom, it looks like the intel Carl received about him dealing is spot on.
How big are you, mate?
What you got?
Class A, quite hard.
It's not only suspected Class A drugs that have been found, but an array of drug dealing paraphernalia.
Right here.
Scales as well, phones,
yeah, scales, names and... We're in that bags, mate.
And the evidence keeps stacking up.
Class A controlled drugs, scales, phones, names, numbers, SIM cards, steel bags, phones, even a calling card, self-made calling cards.
A shameless tactic increasingly used by dealers is handing out business cards.
Found a quantity of self-calling cards. What they do with those is they'll literally hand them out to the drug users on the street, and the drug users will be able to make contact to buy drugs from that number. The big business, drugs.
It's time for Carl to give the main target of the raid the good news.
You're under arrest on suspicion of possession of heroin with intent to supply, okay? Your arrest is necessary to allow the prompt investigation into this offence.
No drugs were found within his mum's bedroom, but she's still under suspicion.
As you're the occupier of the house, I will need to interview you. I don't propose to arrest you at the moment because the places where we found things are not in your room. So what I will need you to do is next week come to St Anne's and have an interview, okay?
Carl thinks the main suspect's relative could also be involved in the supply of drugs.
Right, these are being seized, your money and your phone, and you're under arrest on suspicion of possession of heroin with intent to supply. Your arrest is necessary to allow the prompt investigation into this matter, okay? Also, you've said to me that you've been staying there a few days and you've not given your address, so I don't know where you're staying at the moment. So I've got no other option but to deal with it by taking you to Bridewell and interviewing you, okay? Grab a seat. A successful conclusion to the job. Well, we've recovered a quantity of suspected heroin. We've also recovered a number of weapons, a number of knives, and a number of weapons of concern to us, and some other articles which indicate drug supply. Drug dealing, it's the route for a lot of other crime that goes on, you know, the shoplifting, the burglaries, the robberies. You know, a lot of them are done to fund drug money, so, you know, we in St Anne's will always target those who we suspect that are drug dealing.
The suspected drug dealer was released under investigation, awaiting forensic testing of the suspected Class A drugs and mobile phones found in his bedroom. The suspect's relative is also still under investigation for suspected drug dealing, awaiting forensic results. He was released without charge for breach of the peace. There was no further action taken against the suspect's mum. Two miles away from the double stabbing incident in Broxtowe, PC Keith Parks and Special Constable Joshua Godfrey are on high-vis patrol to reassure the public after the recent surge of knife crimes. Keith's got one of the highest arrest rates amongst the Nottinghamshire police force, for a good reason.
For me personally, I like to be proactive and create my work. I find that far more, not interesting, but I enjoy it more.
They're patrolling a known hotspot for trouble, and it's not long before they spot three young lads who are taking an interest in the cop car. The boy on the left, dressed all in black, spots the cop car first, and it looks like he's telling his friends. Their suspicious behaviour makes Keith think they could have something to hide. Turning the car around to go back and have a word with them, the boy who was the first to spot the cop car has disappeared. Then reappears from behind a fence.
You alright? What are you doing?
You know the whole way you sign up for a new bus card?
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for one car, I dropped one earlier.
The boy claims to have dropped a bus card application form, but Keith's not falling for it.
What made you run this way then?
Huh?
What made you run down here?
I wanted to.
What, so you just decided to run when we spun round and you ran here?
What are you on about?
What do you mean, what am I on about?
I didn't walk by.
Because as soon as we spun round, you ran back down here, didn't you?
You spun round? I didn't know you spun round. This is the same car as what just went past me.
What you dropped down there?
Nothing away.
You sure? Jump out, Josh. Just go.
The controversial stop and search tactic is thought by some to alienate potential witnesses and informers. But police officers in the UK have the powers to stop and search.
He's obviously just run off for a reason.
If they have reason to believe that a person may be carrying anything illegal.
A lot of people complain about stop and searches. At the end of the day, we're police officers, so I think, you know, we're out there to protect people, we're out there to find the criminals.
Keith's suspicious, and his priority is to keep the streets safe.
We can stop and search him and prevent anyone getting stabbed or a house getting burgled, then, you know, as a police officer, what I've done is correct and legal, you know, I'll continue to do it.
Let's get his details. Search him as well, Josh. Just make sure he don't go anywhere, look.
Josh is getting the boy's details, and it turns out he's only 15, while Keith's checking the area around the fence where he ran to.
This lad, we've drove past him, there were three of them. I think he's obviously seen us spin round, and he's ran down here and picked the wettest piece of paper up I've ever seen, and deciding that it's for his new bus card. He's telling porkies, but it's a trick that they use to ditch things, has to be whether it's drugs or a weapon. So let's have a quick look, see if there is anything of that nature that's dry that he could have just dropped to try and put us off. It's certainly suspicious, his behaviour, so we'll check it out.
As Keith opens the gate to a back garden, the boy is looking nervous.
Josh! Grab him, 3-5 him. Grab him. Don't know if you want to have a look at this.
Keith's instinct was spot on.
Handcuff him, Josh! It's a lock knife. That's the reason why he ran. That's it in full flow. You can feel it, it's dry, it's not wet. He's obviously ran around here, ditched it, pretend that he's looking for some paperwork for his bus. So a lock knife automatically becomes an offensive weapon. Now he'll need to be arrested and head to the Bridewell.
Josh is searching the 15-year-old who appears to be well connected.
Got quite a few phones, haven't you? Got 3 phones?
He's carrying 3 phones. Knife death amongst children and teenagers in the UK is approaching a 40-year high. And Keith knows the devastation knife violence can cause.
You know, I've been to many stabbings where knives have been involved. Something like this, and how deep it can get, you know, it can cause serious harm. You know, that's a normal Bic pen, you know, so the blade's a good 1 to 4 or 5 inches. You know, on this occasion, we've got it off the street now. That'll be ours, and he'll have to answer questions as to why he should be carrying this. And no doubt he'll tell me that it wasn't his, but through to his sheer behaviour and everything like that. Possibly, I don't know if he's got gloves on or not. We might be able to do some fingerprints on it, hence why I've got the gloves on, just to see if it comes back with his fingerprints and marks on.
Another officer arrives to transport the boy to custody, and another knife's off the streets of Nottinghamshire.
Whether he would have gone out and harmed someone tonight, who knows? You know, he's a young lad. He needs to know that this is wrong.
The 15-year-old was charged with the possession of an illegal knife in public, but the offence was withdrawn at court. Coming up.
He's done a run up Main Road. Running with crutches, though. Pop in.
A Bodycam cop borrows a security guard from a supermarket when a suspected shoplifter makes a getaway. Six miles northwest of Nottingham, PC Annie Bloomfield's single-crewed and blue lighting to reports of a suspected shoplifter at a supermarket in Kimberley.
We're off to Sainsbury's because we've got a suspect for shop theft previously.
Last year, shop thefts increased by 10% across the country, costing the economy £700 million.
People shouldn't be stealing. It's not right, it's not acceptable. They know that shop theft is wrong. And even if they take a small amount, they can take a larger amount next time. I will come down heavy on them. I do like to actually bring the person to justice.
The security guards have recognised the man, who they caught on CCTV stealing goods a few days ago. But when they went to apprehend him, he made a run for it.
Can you say where he's gone off towards so that we can go to that location, please?
The faster Annie can get to where the suspect was last seen, the more chance she has of catching him.
So can I have further description, please? I'm in the area.
It's a white male. He's got facial hair and short brown hair, an orange/red coat with a blue hood, light blue jeans and a dark baseball cap, and he's currently using crutches.
With such a detailed description, and with the suspect on crutches, he should be easy for Annie to spot and catch. The store's security guard, who's dealt with the suspect before, is waiting to point Annie in the direction he made off.
He's done a run up Main Road. Running with crutches, though.
He doesn't need them. I've seen him move without crutches.
Can you ID him?
Yeah.
Pop in.
We deal with him that often.
Annie is determined to hunt down the suspect, so she's borrowing the security guard to act as a spotter.
I've nabbed a security guard at Sainsbury's. He's going to help do a street ID.
With the security guard on board, Annie could have the upper hand.
He's gone up towards the cemetery for that one there.
This one?
Yeah.
He thinks the suspect could be hiding in the cemetery next to the supermarket. But with every minute that passes, there's more chance that the suspect will escape.
So I think he's gone through...
Oh, it's that one.
That one there?
Yeah, that's it.
It's been 10 minutes since a suspect made off.
So he could be in here, or he could have gone down there back to the store or out onto Swingate. He lives locally, so local there. So he knows his way around.
He appears to be long gone.
Good afternoon. Just a quick question. Have you seen a lad come up here with crutches?
No.
You haven't? All right, thank you very much.
But Annie's not prepared to give up yet.
From 204, it sounds like he's actually gone through the cemetery that is next to Sainsbury's. Is it going to be down here?
Nothing down there, yeah.
Driving to the rear entrance of the cemetery, suddenly...
There. Let's be running there towards that park.
The security guard spots the suspect slipping into an alley.
Where?
Down there where the park is.
Where?
Up there, the side of it.
There?
Yeah, he's just literally run down there.
Up there? Yeah, go.
Annie directs a backup crew to block the other side of the alleyway.
To me, hands up.
What have I done? What have I done?
You're under arrest for suspicion of shoplift.
All
Do not
right.
have to say anything that may harm your defence if you do not mention or question something which later will on in court and you think you do so may be given in evidence to understand.
Yeah, but what have I done?
Hang a minute. Yeah.
I can't walk.
Oh, well, you can. Come on, let's hop over.
Why can't I ain't even done anything?
The man who was on crutches earlier seems to have no problem stepping over the 3-foot fence. Orange red coat with blue hood and a dark baseball cap.
Just come have a seat in there, love. I'll take those.
Annie's in no doubt she's got the right man.
Can you take him? I'll go to Sainsbury's, get a statement and CCTV.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you very much. We've had a good result. We've been able to get that arrest in, and it means that obviously we'll get the rest of the evidence together so we can actually go ahead and actually interview him with the view of taking him to court.
Returning the security guard she borrowed from the store earlier, Annie examines the CCTV to see if there's enough evidence to prove theft. The security guards are familiar with this suspected thief and his tactics, and they've caught his master plan on camera.
He's entered the store with a trolley, he's gone round and selected some items, he's then gone down another aisle that on this occasion the CCTV hasn't covered, and he's therefore put the items in the bag and he's come out minus the trolley and with a very full bag. You can actually see he's entering the store with a flat bag, and so then he's then leaving the store, having gone past the point of payment and not made any purchases, he's leaving the store with a very full bag. So that's very good evidence to show that he's guilty of shop theft.
The items the suspect chose to steal during his grand heist came to a whopping £32, consisting of 24 packets of crisps and 4 boxes of washing tablets.
Thank you so much for your help today. Thank you. See you then, bye.
The man who hopped it on crutches pleaded guilty to shop theft and was ordered to pay £117 in fines and costs. Another successful conviction for the Nottinghamshire Police Force.